So today I want to talk about getting more training work and this is for people who run training programs, who run workshops, who do training that's different from, say, doing a breakout session at a conference. So that's training as well generally. So if you're doing a breakout session or a workshop at a conference, but really what I'm talking about here is actually getting work as a trainer. So getting training work within organizations typically, or maybe you may be running public seminars. So we've got a smallish kind of group here today. So I want to make this very much an open forum, so to give you the chance to share your ideas about how you get more training work. And I know that on the webinar today, we've got some people who are doing quite a lot of training, so I'm really looking forward to getting your ideas and sharing your ideas in this forum. So it's going to run a little bit differently from our normal eGurus member webinars, it'll run a little bit differently from our normal public webinars where I do a lot of presenting and generally the people on the audience sits back and they interact by asking questions, taking part in polls and so on. But today, because it's an eGurus webinar, I'm going to really open it up for everybody to participate. So there are two ways you can participate. The way I'd prefer is that you raise your hand. So just click the little yellow hand button in the control panel and then I'll turn your microphone on and then you can speak out loud. But if you're in an environment where where it's a bit noisy or you don't want to speak out loud, then feel free to type your questions in the question box and I'm happy to read them out on your behalf. It's much better if you turn your microphone on and speak, because then everyone gets a chance to hear, everyone gets a chance to interact out loud rather than me being there in the middle. So feel free to do it either way, but I prefer if you turn your microphone on. Okay, so let me just frame this up in one simple slide here, and then I'll open up the room to questions and comments. Broadly, I share this model when I look at any way that businesses make money. And I talk about there's 4 ways to make money in your business, but here specifically, let's talk about 4 ways to make money as to get more training business. And the 4 ways are going from left to right. So the first thing is you actually get more clients. So you get more leads. So you just do more marketing, more promotion, and whatever ways you use, whether it's offline or online, the purpose of that is to get more leads. The second way is the leads that come through, you convert them into paying clients. So if this is a public program, this means that you sell more tickets. If it's an in-house program, it means that you actually sell more corporate training jobs. So the leads that come in, you convert them. So this is all about conversion rather than lead generation. The third way to make more money in your business is when you convert somebody, you actually charge more money. So you increase your fee in some way. So it may be that you just put your fees up because you've kept them low for a long time, or it may be that you add more value so that you can bundle more in so that you can sell them more. It may also be that you don't discount you may be the sort of person who's always willing to offer a discount, but remember, every dollar that you discount is a dollar that you'll never get back. Whereas if you can add more value and there's perceived value to the client, that perceived value doesn't have to cost you that much to deliver. And the fourth way to make money from your business, from training, is to actually get repeat business. So this is getting repeat or renewal business. So some people have subscription programs that they charge, not always for training courses, but it is possible, or you get repeat business. And I know some people here are doing really well with repeat business. I won't say who, but they're welcome to speak about that on the webinar if they want to. Okay, so let's look at those 4 areas in how to generate more training business, and you can really speak in any one of those 4. So I'll put that slide back on in a sec, but and you can then speak on any one of those 4. I've just put that there just to give you a little bit of a prompt to get you thinking, and we might go through them in order, but we'll see where the conversation takes us. So just in terms of the way that we'll run this forum, the rules of engagement are please ask questions because that's the whole point of this. So feel free to ask your questions, but also feel free to add value by answering other people's questions. I don't personally do a lot of training, but I know there are people in the room here who do. So I'd love to get you to share your experiences, your ideas, and your insights from the many years and thousands of clients that you work with. We are recording this, so just be careful. That's why there's a minus sign there. So if you don't want to share client names for confidentiality reasons, or you don't want to share numbers, then please just remember this is being recorded. It's only being recorded for eGurus members, but remember that that is there for posterity, so just keep that in mind. And then the last point I want to make here is that everyone's equal here. There are some people who may be doing a lot of training. There may be some people who are not doing a lot yet, but don't feel that if you don't have the same experience as everybody else and the same level of experience as everybody else, that you don't have anything valuable to add. In fact, I think it's quite valuable to hear from people who are just starting out and maybe haven't got a lot of training experience, because some of their insights are that they've never done it before, so they just try things that other people who are more experienced wouldn't try. So feel free to share your experiences throughout this 45 minutes that we've got together. Okay, so we have got 40 minutes together, and I really like to kick it off by just asking anybody to talk about how they actually get more leads. So getting more new clients, what are you doing to get more new clients in terms of training? And if you've got a burning desire to talk about one of the other things, please feel free to do that as well. But I'd love to hear from anyone. What are you doing to get more clients? So new clients who get in front of clients, whether it's offline or online. And the way to do it, again, remember, you can either type in the question box, or my preferred method is just click the little yellow hand button and I'll turn your microphone on. And while I'm waiting, I'll share one of the things that I do, which is quite effective and is top of mind at the moment because we've just done this right now, is I publish with 3 other professional speakers in Perth, in WA, a newsletter, a printed newsletter, because I think that offline marketing, so print stuff, still has cut through that digital just doesn't have. So especially in a highly digital world, it's really valuable to get something in the mail. And so I publish a newsletter, which is a 4-page newsletter, and we each write an article for that newsletter. And I do this with Alicia Curtis, with Jenny Brockis and Mike House, and we each publish it, we each print. So I just printed a couple of 100 copies that today I'm going to pop in the post, and it's going to go out to my database, a selected database of people through the post, and it gets me in front of them regularly. So that helps me get repeat business. So that's the again part of this model, but it also gets me in front of Jenny, Alicia and Mike's databases, and they are the sort of people who will book people like us, and they might want somebody different next year for their speaking, so they might choose me. So that's for speaking, so it's conference speaking specifically. However, it'll work just as well for training as well, and I think if you're not doing something like that, then consider it. Both the principles of doing something in print, or in physical form, and doing something like collaborating with other people who might have access to the same sort of database that you do, and think of it as collaboration rather than competition. Anne, you've got a question here. Yeah, so Anne, sorry, a comment. So Anne's saying, build a list is a strategy for me. So I run a webinar almost every month and promote on social media. I get a lot of retweets and some shares, and it does add names to my list. And Anne, I know you do this brilliantly. If you're willing to speak about it, I'd love if you could just click the little yellow hand button and I'll turn your microphone on. Yeah, great. Thanks, Anne. So let me just turn your mic on.
Hello.
Yes, hello, Anne.
Yeah, I might just have to go off the microphone. I've got my cleaning lady here today, so
that's okay.
I'll have to revert to typing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love running webinars. It's a way I develop my thoughts, and it's a way I develop new material. And it's also obviously a marketing strategy. And as I mentioned, I do promote on social media. So I use Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, all at the same time to promote the free webinar. So I use the bulk uploader for tweeting on Hootsuite, and that saves a lot of time. So I will, I do a thing called Marketing Monday. So most Mondays is devoted to marketing of all kinds, and so I will prepare a whole bunch and upload them to be scheduled to go out, and then I'll use that same spreadsheet and just change the dates, and so upload 7 days worth with a tweet going out an hour on the hour in probably 20 minutes it might take me to do that. So, and I do find, I mean, it's only a small, relatively small number of leads that I get, and when I say leads, these are strangers, so these are people I wouldn't reach in any other way. Some of them coming from retweets, but when they register for a webinar, there is the sort of the little line there that says you're willing to receive material, so I take that as permission.
Yep.
And so I download the list of registrants from the webinar and I upload that to my MailChimp list, and it sorts out who I've already got and who I haven't. And yeah, there's usually anything between half a dozen and 20 new names on that added to my list from that kind of promotion, which I think is, I mean, it's hard to measure, but I think it is worthwhile.
Yeah, and then just coming back to one thing you said, I think you said that you, for 7 days, you publish a tweet every hour. So if my maths is right, there's 168 tweets to promote one webinar. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
And I don't do it for just 1 week. I do it for about 3 weeks.
Yeah, right. Okay, so we're talking about, like, if you're doing it for 3 weeks, it's 500 tweets. And this is a question about Twitter. So you're using Twitter quite actively and, not aggressively, but definitely actively. Is there any sort of pushback from people saying you're just tweeting too much? Do you lose followers that way?
I don't know. I haven't measured that aspect of it
But presumably
because I'm
not,
not,
because,
well, I guess not.
yeah, so I mean, I think that's great, and that's one of the things. If you're sending out an email newsletter every hour on the hour for 3 weeks, obviously people would say that's spam. But something like Twitter, people aren't looking at it frequently enough that they're going to get overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, and I do also, so the tweets are very plain. They're just short and plain and have, a few words and register details here, register here, and the link, because every tweet on the spreadsheet has to be different. You can't use the same tweet over and over.
Mm.
And I don't know. I don't know if these names are coming from Twitter. They could be coming from Facebook or even LinkedIn. I haven't, because the numbers are so small, and I can't be bothered, to be quite frank. It just doesn't seem worthwhile to see where they're actually coming from. I'm just happy I've got a few more names on my list, because it seems to be the new people on my list that buy products, not necessarily training, but products.
Yeah, great, because what you're doing is you're getting people into your network, and then you can email them with permission, and then they can
Yeah.
choose which of the paths they're going to go down to engage with you.
Yeah, and of course the important part of this is the webinar itself, because the webinar is for a potential client. It's a try before you buy, and I have actually sold, it wasn't a training course, but some training videos. So I do invite people, if this is a complimentary webinar, but if you'd like one specifically for you, let's talk about that. So I promote that during the webinar, and I had someone, a brand new person who, I don't know where they came from originally, but they were on the webinar for the first time. They liked the webinar. It fitted exactly. They had a pressing need, and they liked what they saw and heard on the webinar. They wanted a webinar. In the end, we changed it to a series of videos, but that was a sale, and within a week I had that nailed down, and within a month I had the job done, delivered and paid for, so that was lovely.
Yeah, brilliant. And for people who don't know Anne, Anne is brilliant at doing online marketing the way that authorities should market online. So not trying to sell a huge bunch of products, like a $5 products to strangers around the world, but actually selling high quality products to people that she gets into her network. So if you've got any questions about that, then now's a really good time to ask Anne, or in the next half an hour. Anne, I've got one more follow-up question for you, and I can see Shelley's got her hand raised as well. So let me ask the question, because I've seen you in your newsletters. You always provide high quality newsletters, but you also take the opportunity to promote. And sometimes it's a product that you promote. Obviously, sometimes it is the complimentary webinar coming up. Sometimes it is saying, if you would like me to come and work in your organization, do that. And what's your strategy around that? Do you do that strategically? Again, like you do this spreadsheet for your tweets. What's your strategy around how you promote and what you promote in your email marketing?
I do have a 12-month plan where, and I have certain times of the year where I promote certain things. So April, May, with the end of the financial year approaching, I know that organisations will have budget to spend. They want to spend it before the end of the year because they're going to lose it. So I'll usually promote a big ticket item at that time of the year. And then coming up to American Thanksgiving in November and Christmas, I will promote one of my books that makes a really nice gift. So that is fairly strategic. I do then try and balance out through the year, so I'm not harping on about something all the time, but I do find I'll have a theme and I'll promote a particular product for about 6 weeks to 2 months, 1 month to 6 weeks to 2 months. So I'm experimenting with that. I don't want people to get sick of seeing the same thing and just become immune to it. And I also try not to be selling too much. So my newsletter goes out every second week. I send what I call a sales letter out. I send a sales letter which isn't selling anything but the free webinar, so I call it a sales letter, but it's not really. And then I send a sales letter out for a particular product. So the last couple of years, my list has only got a sales letter, a pure sales letter from me about once a month, because I did get some pushback that I was sending out too many things. So I thought, right, you can't be offended if I'm sending you newsletters that you know, the promotion is really low key. It's down the bottom of the thing. If they only see it if they actually take the trouble to scroll right down. The newsletter, I do believe, is a quality product. The feedback I get is really good on that. So yeah, I just don't want to overload them with too much email marketing. So I think that's answered the question.
Yep, it has. Thanks very much, Anne. Okay, Shelley, I see you've got your hand raised. I'm not sure whether it's a question for Anne or not, but either way, I'll turn your mic on. Hello, Shelley.
Yeah, you can hear me all right now?
Yep, we got you.
Good, good. Yeah, I was just responding to your question, Gihan, as to what do we do to get training work. And what I did at the beginning, because I had none to start with, I just rang up people that I knew and asked them if they'd like some. Mm-hmm. And I found out what did they want and what did they need, and I manufactured units to meet those requirements and followed it up with lots and lots of networking, talking to people, going to see them or calling them again, finding out what they wanted and manufacturing more units. So that's how I got started.
Okay, so can I ask, what was your positioning when you made that cold call? Because it sounds like you're coming from a position of weakness, but obviously you weren't, because you were getting the work as a result of it.
Yeah, I mean, this was specifically in legal, and I was well known in legal. And yeah, honestly, I started by calling my friends to see if they'd like some training.
Okay.
and took it from there.
Right, and how did you position the work that you were doing, Shelley? Were you going straight in with his? So you go back and say, okay, I'll develop something. I'll come back to you with a proposal, or were you going to them and saying, look, I'll do it for nothing to get the exposure to start with, or how were you starting out?
No, I didn't do any for nothing. Mm-hmm. I haven't made them expensive. I've made them, you know, reasonably economical. To be honest, the way that I started, and you know, and this is possibly causing me an issue now. The way I started was I rang up my friends and kind of went, hey, would you like an easy way to get your professional development points for the year? Mm. Mm.
Yep.
And but I think overall, you know, although I grumble that all they want is the points. I don't think that was me. I think that is because it is driven by points.
Yes, and I agree with that, Shelley. I think that as much as we think that we've got really high valued content to offer, which we do, sometimes the CPD points matter just as much as the content that we're offering.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that was just a keyhole for me to get into and say, hey, here's an easy way for you to get your points. Would you like me to come round and deliver one?
Yeah, great, great. And in fact, I do the same thing, even with speaking, Shelley, if you're talking about this sell, like converting some of the leads. I have now got, on advice from Matt Church, in my speaker agreement, I have a clause that says, if you'd like my presentation, if you'd like Gihan's presentation to qualify for CPD points, let him know, and he's happy to do that and do whatever work's required. And that helps with certain organizations in healthcare, in financial planning, in mortgage broking, and so on. Those organizations that do care about points and they want conference sessions to match. So yeah, great. That's a really good insight.
Yeah, and in fact, thinking about it now, because this was a few years ago I got started with it, I actually positioned it as being like pizza delivery,
Right.
like pizza delivery, but better for you.
Okay. In what way? That's saying you can pick and choose.
Well, you know, because it's educational.
Yeah.
You know, it's professional development to your door. I come
Yes.
to your office. I come to your desk if need be, and you know, bring a point to you.
Yeah.
And it's like pizza delivery, but it's better for you because it's educational.
Yes, that's right, and not fattening.
That's right.
Great. Thanks, Shelley. Does anyone have questions for Anne or for Shelley? If you do, please raise your hand or type them in the question box. And if you type them in the question box, I'll read them out. Otherwise, I'll turn your microphone on. Okay, just turn Shelley's one off at the moment, just in case there's background noise. Okay, let me continue. So another strategy that I've got, because I've got a few up my sleeve just to keep the conversation going, this is one that falls into the more category, and it's one that David Penglaze, who a number of people here know, taught me, and he's talked about this publicly more than 15 years ago. He was doing this, and this is the idea of getting more work for more money for each transaction. So the idea is that you're doing training, you do all the work to get the job, so you've done the sale, you've done the conversion, but you know how much effort went into getting that, and you know how much effort goes into actually doing the delivery, so why not increase the fee that you charge for each training course that you do? And at the time that he was doing this, it's a really novel idea, and now it's like lots of people are doing this, but I'm still surprised at how many people aren't doing it. And the idea is simple. It just simply means extend the training. So you might be doing a one-day training program. At the time, I think Dave was doing a 3-day sales training program. And he said, instead of a 3-day program, why don't we create a 3-month program? And it turned out to be, so he still runs his three-day training course on sales, but then every 2 weeks for the next 6 weeks, he would send out a follow-up email. So it was an online course. So nowadays it's kind of half of the course. But at the time it was novel, the idea that he would then reinforce the training every 2 weeks for the next 6 weeks. For the next 6 modules. So it ended up being 12 weeks. Yeah, so he had 6 modules. He sent them out every 2 weeks. So it became, rather than a 3-day program, it became a 12-week or 3-month program. And his thinking behind that, or the way that he pitched it, was saying, look, you do training and you know that as soon as people walk out of the room, they're going to lose 50% of what they learned. So to increase retention and to increase traction, why don't you buy my online program, which complements this sales training program? And it goes for the next 3 months, and it was comprehensive. So it wasn't just a simple email every time. What he did was he took what was previously a handout and a workbook, and then he made that part of the online program. So every 2 weeks, the attendees would get a PDF of one little chapter, if you like, or one section of the workbook, one section of the training program that have stuff to work through. And this was in the old days when PDFs weren't interactive. So he'd say to them, okay, print out the PDF and go through the worksheets, fill them out for yourself, and then save them up. And at the end of the 12 weeks, he'd say, okay, if you finish, send me an email and I'll send you a certificate. And I think they got a binder as well. But the value of that was huge. The perceived value and the actual value was huge. And he would charge it on a per head basis. So I think he was charging, say, $100 a head. So for a 20-person training program, that would be an extra $2,000 on top of his training fee. Which I can't remember what it was at the time, but 15 years ago, there was a significant addition to his increase to his training fee by doing no extra work except some work up front to create that online course and make it available. So Dave still does that, and he does it now. I'm sure Anne does it as well with webinars. I do it with webinars. So one way to get more money is to just add more value and thereby increase the fee by adding something which doesn't cost you a lot of money to provide. So I don't know whether anyone else is doing something like that. If you are, please share. I see some comments from Anne. I like the pizza positioning. Yeah, great. That metaphor works really well. So is anyone else doing anything like that to just increase your fee for your training programs without having to expend a lot of effort? I have one more idea, but I'm just going to pause and see if anyone else wants to say something. Tricia, I see you've got your hand raised. Hi, Tricia. Oh, we can't hear you, Tricia. Oh, you've got your microphone turned on, Tricia, at your end, I think. There you go.
Beg your pardon. Hi there.
Hi.
Sorry. Like you, Gihan, I have a membership site that supports people after the training that I've given them. So yes, there are sort of the monthly emails that go out, and there's a series of ebooks and webinars that are saved that are there for people to access. So again, I think that has enabled me to increase my price, and I think also it's enabled me to win work when I was up against people who probably didn't have that. So I think it's a way to convert more because it makes me seem like the offering is bigger, and it also enables a slightly higher price than I think some of my competitors offer.
Yeah, I agree. Great. And I think that some of us here on the call do have so much value now and so many resources that we're not using. We've published them once or twice and we're not making use of them. Someone who does make really good use of them is Anne, but Anne, you've got millions and millions of resources that you could add even more value to, and you're doing it really well. And I'm looking at you as a role model for some of the stuff that I've got that I should really be packaging and bundling up. And Tricia, great, yes, a membership site is the other way of doing that, because then you've got the resources available to your members, but what do? Do you sell access to, do you bundle in access to your membership site as part of your standard fee, Tricia, or do you offer it as an added extra?
No, I bundle it in because it's very specific. So this training that I'm speaking about is the training that I do for expats who are usually moving locations. So there's a significant life change that's going to be involved in the process after the training occurs or as the training occurs, but that learning needs to continue for a period of time. So I bundle it in and say that it's an essential requirement, and yeah, so I make a big deal of it in terms of any proposal that I write or any marketing material which says to the potential clients that this is ongoing support that they are provided. So I think it gives a greater sense of this is what people need, so it's speaking to the needs that the client perceives the trainees will have.
Yep, great, yeah. Great. Thanks, Tricia.
What I haven't done, and I saw, because I'm on Anne's email list, and recently she did a fantastic offer, or bundle offer, of a lot of her different resources. So I haven't tried to sell it outside of my training, a number of the resources that I have, which would probably sell quite well as standalone. But yeah, so I agree. Anne's a role model for me as well. Thank you.
Great. So I got a comment from Anne, and Shelley's also got her hand raised, so I'll take Shelley's turn Shelley's mic on as well. So Anne said, I think following on from your comment, Tricia, about the membership site, I'm doing a closed Facebook group for an upcoming program. I'll post twice a week to the group and interact with participants. So yeah, great. That's a great added value that piece that you can offer, either as to justify your fee or to increase your fee. Shelley. Okay, I turn your mic on, Shelley.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I would love to be doing the sorts of things that have been described, and I'd be very, very happy to be offering those things if I could find clients who would value them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it does seem that they don't actually want training, they want points,
Mm-hmm.
and less is more. They actually like my offering because it's easy and quick and convenient. They don't have to go anywhere, they save travelling time, and all of that stuff's good, and it's all over and done within an hour. And the idea that they would continue with an online course or tune into a webinar seems to be a pretty foreign idea. So this is one of my challenges. I would love to extend and increase the value that I'm offering. I'd love to be getting more for what I'm able to provide, but they don't seem to want to spend any more than the minimum number of hours on their professional development.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Shelley. And I think what you're highlighting is that whatever we do has to be solving a problem in our clients' lives. And if our clients want less time, and if they want it delivered in less time, then that's actually the problem that we should be solving, rather than trying to dump a whole bunch of stuff on them. Yeah, and it's true, isn't it? Like if you want to get fit, then you can pay whatever it is, $50 to $100 a month to join a gym. You can pay $500 $500 to $1,000 for a personal trainer for a short time, and I'm sure if there was a pill that would get you instantly fit and then stay fit forever, then you'd pay $10,000 to $50,000 for it, because you want to get it done with less effort rather than putting in all the extra time.
Well, that's right. Well, that's right, and I have also I've offered free access for my clients, free access to my online resource library, but I reckon they've hardly used it.
Yeah, and I think that's true for most people now, and it is becoming more of a challenge for people to find the time to make the time to use the resources. So, by the way, one of the things that I do, let me turn microphones off here, and this particularly applies to my conference speaking. I offer a number of levels, because one thing I want to do is always offer more than just the presentation. So it's more than just me turning up and speaking for 45 minutes to an hour. And it's the same when I'm running training courses. I want to offer more than just that time, but I offer it at different levels, and broadly there's 3 levels, and the bottom level is where I offer stuff before and after, which costs me nothing to deliver. So I will say, for example, beforehand, that the client can take some of my articles off my blog and reuse it in their marketing material, or I will offer them 1 or 2 interviews that I've done in the past, so I'll offer them the MP3 version, which they can make available, for example, professional associations who want to get people to register for the conference. They'll have an early bird date, so I'll say if you can offer this as an incentive for early bird registrants. And then afterwards, I'll offer something which again doesn't cost me anything to deliver. So it might be value add access to my membership site. It might be access to my innovation webinar series, which I run a couple of times a year, but it's not for that client alone, but they can join, so I'll give them access to it. So that's level 1, that's tier 1, where they get access before and after, but it costs me nothing. And that's part of my standard, so that I offer that for my standard fee. And then I have the tier 2 is where I'll do a little bit more work. So before the event, I might interview the CEO or interview the president of the association, and that can be part of the marketing material. I'll do a specific slideshow video for that conference. Afterwards, I might run a specific webinar for those people alone. And then tier 3 is just basically whatever else they want. So, beforehand it could be something like I'll help train the other speakers who are speaking. So some of the internal speakers who aren't really comfortable with speaking, I'll do some training with them so that they'll be better when they present at the conference. Afterwards, we can do things like create a conference newsletter or even write a book, because that's one of the services that I offer. But that one there, this is basically open-ended. But just think about, if you're going to offer additional value, then think about at what level you want to offer it. And it's very easy now to provide electronic stuff that literally costs nothing for you to deliver, but just does add some perceived value. And even if they don't take it up, you're still offering the value. Tricia, I see you've got your hand raised again, so let me turn your mic on. So you're still muted at the moment. Okay.
I'm fine, Guy. I just haven't lowered it.
I'm sorry, I missed that, Tricia.
I'm fine. I just haven't lowered my hand.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. Yep, I can turn the mic off here. Okay, anything else? Anne says she's thrilled. I think she's replying to her comments about her being a role model for a couple of people in the group. Okay, what about repeat business? Because we've got 10 minutes to go, and I'm really curious to know what you're doing to get repeat business. So this is the again part. Do you have some sort of loyalty program that you follow? Do you segment your database into different groups? So for example, I do. So I have my general database, which is my newsletter database, and so I have two ways to keep in touch with people, and that's my newsletters and my webinars, public webinars, and my email newsletters. And they're my two main ways of keeping in touch with people proactively rather than just relying on them following me on social media. But then there's a smaller group who gets my printed newsletter, and there's a smaller group again who are my clients who I will touch base with them individually. So even the printed newsletter, even though it's print and it costs me money and it only goes to a small group, it's still mass produced, and you know, they just get stuffed in an envelope with a stamp on the front and a computer generated address label and sent to them. So not many people get it, but it's still mass produced. But there's a smaller group who I keep in touch with regularly by saying, by sending them something that's specifically relevant to them, either by physical mail or by email, or if I happen to be in their city, I'll organize a meeting with them. So I have got those three tiers of the loyalty program or the keep in touch program. Curious to know what other people are doing. Okay, I'm just waiting to see if anything else comes through. I've had this conversation before with eGurus members about the difference between marketing and sales, and once you get people into the sales cycle, it becomes much more individual. When in the marketing cycle, you can automate and outsource and delegate and do stuff mass produced, but once you get them in the sales cycle and after they become a client, then once you get them in the loyalty cycle, some of that you'd want to do on an individual basis rather than a mass basis. Okay, I'm just checking to see if there's any other questions or comments coming through. I don't see any at the moment, so we might finish a little bit early, but it's only a few minutes early if you want to. Okay, I see some comments. Okay, so Anne says I get a lot of repeat business but have no strategy. Okay, so yeah, okay, great, Anne. I remember one of my mentors, Glenn Capelli, saying that the best thing that you can do to market yourself as a speaker or trainer is do a great job when you're in front of people. So that's the best marketing tool that you can have, is a great speech or a great training course, because that's how you'll get business, whether it's repeat business or referral or spin-off business. So and the difference between referral and spin-off is referral business is where somebody says, oh, I saw Anne, she's great, you should definitely work with her, or we worked with Anne and she was great, you should definitely work with her as well. The spin-off business is where they say, Anne, just saw you speak here, can you come and do the same thing for us? And I think that happens a lot more with speaking rather than training, because the people in training courses aren't necessarily the people who are running training courses or booking trainers themselves, but it does happen from time to time. And the fact that when you say you've got no strategy, I think your strategy is just be great and be really good. Justice says, where do e-gurus fall in your three-tier system? Okay, so for me, so Justice is saying, like, in terms of my loyalty for e-gurus, it's slightly different, Justice, because e-gurus are members of my membership site. So in a sense, they're kind of the top tier, but it's a different kind of relationship that I have with them than I do with, say, somebody who books me for a conference. It's actually stronger than the people who book me for a conference, because I know that the people who book me for the conference, a big ticket item, they're probably not going to get me back for 3 or 4 years. So I want to keep in touch with them so they still remember me, but not as intensively as I would with eGurus members. So my eGurus members, part of the service that you get for the money you pay for your membership is that you do get the chance to interact with me. So we have these monthly webinars. We have phone calls every quarter. You can email me at any time. If you want some help with any of the resources, drop me a line and I'll help you out with that. So in a sense, the eGurus members are kind of like right at the top. So it's like tier 4 in terms of being the best, the closest relationships. So it's a little bit different than the people who book me for typically like a one-off program or one-off event. So my 3 tiers really apply to those people who book me for individual events, and I'm hoping to get repeat business from them. With eGurus members, you're expecting me to be in touch with you because that's what you pay your membership fee for. I hope that answers that question. And I'd say that Tricia would be the same with her members and her membership site. Great, Justice says, brilliant. Yeah, Anne says, I've done different things for same clients. So yeah, so Myers-Briggs and StrengthsFinder are part of the mentoring training and then get asked to come in to do those topics alone for other groups. Yeah, those topics alone. Yeah, for other groups. Yeah, great. So yeah, and Kazan does a lot of work with mentoring as well. That's her expertise in the broader area of talent. That's what she means by mentoring training. Okay, we're going to wrap up because we're almost at the end here. I just want to remind you that there are some additional resources in the eGurus Vault, and some of the things that we've talked about, especially creating products. So if you're looking at creating some of these products that you can then use, are in this area, in the products area of the Vault. So you can look at audio and video and books, which includes ebooks as well, online courses, creating your own membership site. All of that's there as well. And if you need some of the help with some of the skills, like especially with things like outsourcing, because a lot of this stuff now, there are really skilled people available online who can do the work for you, and you give them some guidance and they'll do the work. There's some, you may have to look around a bit to find the best people. However, in the outsourcing section, if you click the outsourcing link, there's also a list of the people that I use and that I have used for various tasks, so creating videos, doing research, doing audio transcription and so on. Actually not only give you the links to guidance on how to do it, but you'll actually get the list of the people that I actually use myself. So I hope you find that useful. The other person that I really, really like, I've met Donna recently, and she's just an expert in training, but also training people in how to do training really well. So if you want skills, and we haven't really talked about the skill of training because today's webinar was about the business of getting training work, but Donna is brilliant. So if you go to donnamcgeorge.com and you can buy her resources. So there's a book there. These are 3 books. One of them is a book about training, Get Engaged, and then there's a whole bunch of the other 2 are resources. This one, Visual Vocab, is a whole bunch of icons that you can draw on flip charts, and it's brilliant. It's just, you think that why would you have a book of all those things? But it really has icons that you can then use when you want to create your own flip charts or even your own PowerPoint slides. So I find that really, I find those resources great, and Donna is great. So if you want, it's like Train the Trainer. If you want to get better at training, then Donna is a great resource for that. So thanks everyone. Thanks for coming along to this webinar, and especially today, thanks for participating. As you know, this sort of webinar won't work unless people participate. So thanks very much for coming along.